I'll be interested if that's...
But ladies and gentlemen, fight number 6 this evening will be contested in the middleweight division over 3 3-minute rounds. And introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 79.3 kilos and trains out of Game Bred Academy. Tonight, he makes his MMA debut as part of the Wimp to Warrior Season 5 cast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Itai Kaisa. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 78.8 kilos and trains out of Game Bred Academy. Tonight, he also makes his MMA debut as part of the Wimp to Warrior Season 5 cast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris 40 Grit Baker. When the action begins, your referee in charge, Thomas Churchill.
Tell you what, I had to have a double look at the weights there as well for it to say that Itai Kaisa was only half a kilo bigger than Chris Baker. It's a little hard to believe at the moment.
A little bit of fluid, put back on. Oh, that was a sharp straight right there.
Well, some heavy shots landed there from Itai.
Wow, nice one through the top. He's going to have to change his game plan there. He doesn't want to take too many of those.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing Chris 40 Grit Baker really looking to close that distance now after tasting the power of Itai on the feet.
That was sharp and fast.
Yeah, impressed with the fluidity in Itai's boxing here. Looks super comfortable, slinging leather.
Baker's got head control working for the knees to the body here.
Oh, big right hand clips there. So Chris Baker showing off a chin early in this one. Kick to the body there, partially blocked by Itai. And looks like a standing guillotine attempt potentially here from Itai. Let's see if he can get the hips forward. It looks like there's an arm in though. Pretty hard to finish that arm in guillotine in the standing position.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to slip out so easy with he's got in under the dreadlocks. Maybe that was a game plan by Itai, but I was wondering earlier on how that was going to affect his choke defense, whether it's going to work in his favor or not.
So up against the fence here we go. Single leg attempt from Chris Baker, and it looks like he'll finish it. Straight back up to the feet though there from Itai Kaisa.
So a massive start to the first round, but it looks like we're slowly starting to work our way into that original game plan both boys thought the fight would go, which would be Chris Baker taking the fight to the ground.
So some nice balance on display here from Itai as he manages to keep things standing.
Still controlling the head of Baker.
Oh, phenomenal balance there from Itai. Manages to keep things on the feet there and then sweep into mount. So great reversal there in the late stages of the takedown. A little high there here though in mount. Might give Chris Baker the opportunity to escape.
He had the half guard with the underhook and he let it go. So he's giving up his back. We've got 30 seconds left. There's plenty of time for a choke. So
yeah, let's see if Itai can try and get those hooks in. And wow, slips down onto the mat there. So Chris Baker now in top position. It looks like he is now in side control as well. A bit of a mounted crucifix here. So we'll probably see him smack the body a few times as we hear the 10-second clapper in the background. And Thomas Churchill separating our fighters. Very entertaining opening stanza there, gents. Not quite sure how that one will look on the judges' scorecards, but I think the power punching of Itai certainly got our attention at least.
Yeah, it was an interesting round. It was definitely enjoyable as well. Both boys had their opportunities on the ground. I think Itai did a little bit more damage while they were standing, but one thing I really interesting to see is, you know, Itai Kaisa is a massive boy. We'll see how if he was able to manage those massive muscles and being able to retain some energy in there.
yeah, we'll see if cardio is a factor. We'll see if you mentioned his size. We'll see if the weight cut is a factor as well in his cardio. I reckon we've got about 2 kilos in those dreadlocks over there from Baker. You know, If he was up with us, I'd be snipping those off.
Yeah, I always wonder about that when you see the dreadlocks. I wonder how much weight there would actually be in there. If you're having trouble making weight. Sometimes probably shaving the head sounds better than going back into the ice bath, into the salt bath, sorry. And Thomas Churchill claps us in for round number 2. Big kick to the body there to start things off. As we see Itai landing some big shots to the body. Goes upstairs now with the right hand as well.
Huge throw. Gets the crowd excited.
He's got one hook in. He's going for the choke here. He's got to watch he doesn't slip off. He's maintaining it. And Baker's back up, trying to reverse the position. Interesting trip.
Yeah, so perhaps a little too eager there, diving on that neck without securing the position with the hooks first. It's one thing that you'll hear a lot of jiu-jitsu coaches say is try and get those hooks before you start looking for the neck. We do see the odd exception here and there, but most of the rear naked chokes that do finish fights are with the fighter finishing the submission with either the hooks or a body triangle.
Yeah, it's definitely as old as jiu-jitsu itself. Hooks. Baker's going to have to move here. He can't sit there in the pocket and take those punches.
So it looks like that jab troubled Chris Baker there. Oh, big right hand lands. Thomas Churchill had a really good look at Chris Baker there. Feels like Itai could be a few big shots away from getting a stoppage here, but just as I say that, nice entry in on the double leg from Chris Baker.
Let's see if he can drag those legs and complete this takedown.
He could have locked them together there.
Yeah.
Might be gassed or it might be injured, I'm not sure, but
fortunately, it's the way the fight's gone, hasn't it? You know, Chris Baker's shown a lot of potential. He gets himself into certain positions, but doesn't quite seem to get that last 10% to finish things off at the moment.
He's firing off some punches from the bottom, so he's back in this. He needs to make a decision. Bite down on his mouthpiece. Let's get back in this fight. He's been swarmed a little in this second round.
So 1 minute remaining here in the second round, and we are seeing Itai Kaisa sitting pretty here in top half guard. We did see him striking the body there momentarily. Looks like he's just holding position now. Bit of a grimace on the face of Chris Baker. Did eat some big body shots earlier, so that really does drain the gas tank. It's quite torturous when you're low on energy and you've got someone just disrupting your breathing with those constant shots to the body. Now a knee on belly from half guard. Very rare position here from Itai.
Yeah, the guard's open here. Like I said, I'd like to see him try and pass into side control and take a leaf out of that Sean's book earlier on, some big hammer fists.
So worth noting that both of these gentlemen were part of the Wimp to Warrior Season 5 cast, so both of them only training for, a couple of months leading into this, essentially. And some pretty impressive leaps and bounds made on both sides of the ledger as we see a nice technical display there again in round number 2.
As I mentioned before, I was speaking to Itai out the back, and he mentioned, like I said, he went through his first round, his second round, his third round prediction. Capping off that third round, he both said that, he believed both fighters would be exhausted, but he'd go for the takedown himself and look to finish the fight.
Well, all going to plan at the moment for Itai Kaisa.
I think you're right, though, Joel, with Chris on the ground before. He's definitely got to bite down on his mouth guard. I think one of the benefits of being a C-class fighter is he's, the rule set actually protects him from any significant damage if he was to bite on that mouth guard and put himself into a vulnerable position to get back up.
Yeah, it's a good format, this C-class rules. It's a good little way to test the water. You've got fighters that you don't have to worry about being punched in the head on the ground, which is a big factor.
So Thomas Churchill having a stern talking to Chris Baker here, just telling him to show me something out there. So does tell us that Thomas Churchill has had a look at stopping this fight a couple of times there in the second round. Let's see if Chris Baker can rally late here. Likely down 2 rounds. Let's see if he can initiate some sort of finishing sequence.
Yeah, Itai's saying that he might look to take the fight to the ground. I'd like to see him keep the fight standing here, and this is why. Look at these punches, that's huge.
Unanswered.
Nice stoppage. How excited is he?
Itai Kaisa with the third round TKO. The Zimbabwean gets the W in his MMA debut here on the Wimp to Warriors Season 5 finale. And as we see the replay here, gents, there was a takedowns attempted a lot from Chris Baker, but the takedown defense on display from Itai and the power punching was really the difference. Big props to Chris Baker, though. Showed a lot of heart in that performance. Ate some punches that a lot lesser men would have taken a knee from.
Yeah, definitely. You can take a lot away from this this experience, and it's impressive. Just off the, I think it's 20 weeks the Winter Warrior program, so it's impressive that the wrestling and the control. Obviously, there's things to work on, but he can take some positives away from this. I know he's probably thinking it feels like shit right now, but you know, when it's all said and done, you look at the positives and you learn from the negatives and you move on. It's just,
So, ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest at 23 seconds of round number 3, declaring your winner by TKO in the blue corner, Itai Kaisa.
We were watching the replay at the end of the fight before, and I believed that he was going to be pretty exhausted leading up to the end of that fight, but I tell you what, he definitely still had some energy left to throw those massive power punches.
yeah, I think there was about 10 unanswered shots.